Prime time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Turning to news closer to home, a new set of walking trails is going to be added to Lloydminster after it was brought to council earlier this week. There are two planned trails, one on 44th Street between 40th Avenue and 45th Avenue, and another trail on 50th Avenue between 18th and 25th Street.
One of the things we often hear in the community is access, and most of us drive each and every day, but there's those people that do want to ride a bicycle, walk, exercise their animal, and it's important that we connect the city as best as possible.
Now, these 3-meter wide walkways were brought to council in order to fill in the missing links throughout the city.
To move to our city, they look at things like that. How's the connectivity of your city? Can I get around? What are your services? What are your sports facilities? They look at that kind of thing. And when we can add better trail systems to the city, it's just a good thing. It's good for exercise. It's good for safety. People aren't walking on the roads near as much. And these trails are big enough now as we improve them and upgrade them that bikers and walkers can share the same trail. And that's a good thing.
Construction for this project is anticipated to be finished September 1st of this year. Students at the LPSD Art Academy are working on a project to bring a little more color into the community by painting storefronts across Lloydminster. The windows at Western Financial received a spring facelift. Art Academy founder Brandy Hoffer says the kids are able to explore the power of public art through projects like this.
It's really cool how we've seen the students grow confidence through their creativity. Like it's a really beautiful bridge, and it's an easy way to communicate, interact, and build up that confidence without directly saying, this is a project that we're doing to build confidence. It just naturally happens.
Hofer walked the students through the mural process from the very beginning, including digital mock-ups and revisions, all the way through to execution.
I'm having so much fun, and it's really important to me having somebody who knows what they're doing, because I have no idea what I'm doing with half the stuff I do some days.
Well, they wanted a spring theme, so we automatically thought of flowers because they bloom in the spring.
I've done the purple flower in the corner by the door, then the blue, then a blue flower just above it, and a few leaves.
Art Academy students will be painting more murals and have other projects in the works, including learning more about culinary arts at Spiros. A pilot project that started a few years ago has now expanded to more classrooms within the Lloydminster Catholic School Division. The junior kindergarten project has received great response, and our Shelby Clark has more in this week's Beyond the Classroom.
Okay, get ready to fly. Put your arms out. Everybody do it. Bye.
Junior kindergarten began in one classroom and has grown to 4 classes in other schools for the Catholic School Division. Father Gorman, St. Thomas, St. Mary's, and St. Joe's now all have one junior kindergarten classroom.
It's great to see the little ones coming in. Lots of them are siblings of students that go here, so they're excited to see their siblings. They get to come to our library and just have experiences within the school around our other students.
With Junior K expanding, this helps prepare young kids before their school experience and get them comfortable in the school's environment.
I think it's very important for our children to be able to have a glimpse into what school is like. It gives them pre-kindergarten readiness skills and gets them familiar with how to share, gives them the opportunity just to be a part of the school and grow before they go to kindergarten.
Smile, superhero poses.
And superhero poses and jump around and superheroes jump around.
LCSD believes Junior K will floor students' success when starting kindergarten to grade 1 and hope to welcome more kids in the future.
It's a great opportunity for them to come in and see what school is all about while they're so young. It gets them used to our building so that when they do come to kindergarten, there's no fear or anxiety. They're used to the building, they're used to the people, and it just makes that transition so much easier.
And that's it in this week's Beyond the Classroom.
Lakeland College's doors are open for program info sessions on March 3rd and 10th. RSVP now at lakelandcollege.ca/info sessions.
And now it's time for our first check-in with weather. Let's head over to Shelby Clark, who's very excited for tonight's hockey game.
Woo! Goyle, go! Let's go. Yes, you are right indeed, Mr. Jace Mackey. I'm very much excited for tonight's game. Hopefully you make a comeback, as we all know how it went last game, unfortunately, but you know, I think I'm feeling good for tonight. Yes, fingers crossed. I think we're all very hopeful. Now taking a look, first look at your weather forecast here in the border city. As you can see with that wind outside, it's pretty calm out there. So we are looking at a beautiful day today as we are kind of halfway through our week here on our Wednesday. Just sitting at 19 once again. We seem to be seeing that temperature a lot as we have been going through our weather forecast throughout the week. So we are just sitting at 19, just under that 20-degree mark, and looking at another day with a mixture of some sun and clouds. So I would say it's still a very beautiful day outside. Hopefully everybody is enjoying it. I feel like it is not too much of a scorcher, but also not cool whatsoever. So hopefully everybody's enjoying it and spending some nice time outside. Switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan. On the Alberta side, most spots are kind of sitting around that 20 to 21 degree point. So they are kind of matching with us more here in the border city, as they are just seeing around that 21 degree point for most spots with Marwayne, St. Paul, and up in Cold Lake. Then we have a few that are just sitting at 20, and we go a bit lower to Wainwright and Provost, as they're just a couple degrees cooler, just at 19. So looks like we are, for the most part, all matching with those temperatures, looking at some pretty nice conditions for right now. Going over to our Saskatchewan side, they are matching with us with those conditions as well. On our Alberta side, some spots are looking slightly warmer. We have that 22 and 23 for Green Lake and down in Meadow Lake, and then we go a bit lower and they start to actually slightly cool down compared to what we are seeing for the most part. Seeing that 17 down in Macklin, and then North Battleford is just sitting at 18. But for North Battleford, they will be going down to that 5-degree mark for their evening low, so they won't be seeing too much of a cool night. They still will be seeing that plus temperature, of course. They will be expecting a mainly clear night, so just a couple clouds in the sky. They won't be seeing a high chance of some precipitation or whatnot. And then for their Thursday, their daytime high will be 24, so they will be warming up by around 6-7 degrees there for tomorrow, and looking at a mixture of some sun and clouds. So a very beautiful day expected for North Battleford. For tonight for Cold Lake, they will be seeing that 6-degree mark for their evening low. So seeing another nice temperature and a beautiful night tonight expected, as they are expecting more of a clear and calm night. Not seeing a high chance of precipitation either. And then for their day tomorrow, 24, so warming up, seeing a nice beautiful temperature for their daytime high, although expecting mostly cloudy and, you know, a shower in the afternoon. So it's going to be nice actually though to see some rainfall as we go out through our days here, as of course as we've been seeing those dry conditions lately. So that's what Cold Lake will be expecting tomorrow for their Thursday. For us here in the border city, we will be looking at that 7-degree mark for our evening low. So seeing a beautiful temperature tonight and a nice calm, clear night. And then for our Thursday, daytime high of 23. So even warming up more than what we saw today. And we are expecting another day mixture of some sun and clouds. So another beautiful day expected. Make sure to get out there and enjoy it. Hopefully we'll have a nice day after this game tonight. Now ending off the look at one of your weather photo submissions. Thank you to everyone that submitted throughout the week so I could use them on my weather segments. This one is in Turtle Lake. Beautiful shot from Roxanne. Thank you so much for this gorgeous photo. And that's all I have for now for a first look at your weather forecast.
Thank you so much for that. Love to see that sunset there. After the break, how some Alberta businesses are helping those impacted by wildfires. Moving to sports now, the Lloydminster Meridian Twins are being recognized provincially in the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame class of 2023. Here's Thomas Wildman with more.
Today we have Troy Winterholt, one of the members of the Lloydminster Meridian Twins, who have been inducted into the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame for their teams from 2000 to 2014. And so thank you so much for being with us today, Troy.
Yeah, you bet, no problem.
And so, Troy, tell me a little bit about the Twins and how they were run. You were a manager of the team as well as a player. Just tell me a little bit about the day-to-day for the Twins through those 2000 to 2014 seasons.
Well, the teams that are being inducted are the teams from year 2000 to 2014. In that time frame, just had a lot of success, especially in the NSRBL provincially. We were always contenders at the senior AA level, but we were able to win 10 league championships in our Saskatchewan River Baseball League in 15 years. We won a Senior A provincial championship, SAS Baseball Team of the Year in 2002, and we entered AA provincials many years, and we were a force there in the early 2000s, late 2009 to 2011. There we were always in the mix to win the championship, but we always came up a little bit short. So we just had a good run over 15 years, and it's nice to be seeing that being recognized.
And so, Troy, you mentioned some of the success the Twins had. What do you think is one of the main reasons that you guys were so successful throughout those few seasons?
It was just we had a lot of talent on the team. Back in 2000, we were a lot of young guys in around that 19, 20 years old. We had a good solid group of talented young players, and we just wanted to play ball and have some fun and just see what we could do. We didn't really, of course, we didn't really know what was, ahead of us or anything like that. We were just wanting to play ball. We were the only team in town at the time, and we could get on the field whenever we wanted. So we always took advantage of that. And but I think just with our team in particular, we had a strong core. We had 6-7 guys that played through the 15-year span that were part of our core, and we were always allowed, we were always able to build around those guys and have them come in and feel welcome on the team and contribute in different ways. But that solid core was what really led us to the success we had.
And so, Troy, as a member of these teams, how honored are you and the rest of the players to be inducted into the Sask Ball Hall of Fame?
I think it's just puts everything in place of what you did for all those years, and your the labors that you put in, all the practice that you put on the field, and the phone calls and the emails and the text messages, and trying to work to put a good team on the field, and all the experiences you had, all the friendships you made over the years, and everything under the whole that anybody had anything to do with the baseball team over the years. It's a great honor to anytime when you're recognized, especially provincially, to accept a recognition like this.
And so, Troy, if you could tell me a little bit about how the Twins operated following that 2014 season and kind of where they're at now, as well as your final few years in senior baseball.
For myself, I stayed on. Most of the core guys quit in 2020 after the 2013 season. There was talk that the team, we had to actually put in a leave of absence at the start of the season 2014, that we weren't going to be in the league because a lot of our core guys had quit, and it looked like we weren't going to have enough players to put a team together. But we managed to round up a lot of young guys that year, and we kind of started over there, and so myself and Kevin Payne were there for a few more years. I stuck around until 2021 was my last season. I didn't play last year, so I've kind of stepped away from the game and from the team the last couple of years. But as far as I know, the team's getting ready for another season. They're currently in you could probably say a rebuilding stage at this point. Again, they're starting out with a new group, a younger group, and they're going to do the same thing. You go out there and play some ball, play hard, see what they can do, and hopefully they can have some success on the field. I know the league is down. The North Saskatchewan River Baseball League's down quite a few teams this year. They only got 7, but as far as the Twins goes, they got a team on the field there. They got some good young ball players, and they're going to need the community support as well. So if anybody gets a chance to go out and watch a ball game, I'm sure the boys will put on a good show for you.
Thank you so much, Troy, for all the information, and congratulations once again to you and the Lloydminster Meridian Twins for being inducted into the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame.
You bet, man. Thanks, Thomas. Take care.
And now let's check in once again with Shelby Clark, who has an extended look at weather.
Woo! Go Oilers, go! All right, now taking another, yeah, exactly right there. Got to do it every time. All right, now taking another extended look at your weather forecast. We'll be starting off, of course, with our central zone of the provinces. We are seeing definitely a switch up in temperatures on this side especially. More in the center, we start to slightly warm up. We have Edmonton just hitting that 20-degree mark now, and they were looking slightly cooler, of course, with those conditions as well. They were getting some rainfall yesterday. Then we have a couple that are just at 16 and 18 with Whitecourt at the Basket and down in Rocky Mountain House, 15 in Red Deer, and then Edson and Jasper over are looking slightly cooler just at 12 and 14. So definitely seeing a switch up with just one spot hitting that 20-degree mark, and the rest are just seeing those teens, but you know, we are still seeing some beautiful conditions. Switching over to our Saskatchewan side here in the border city, we have gotten to that 21-degree mark now. Most spots are kind of following suit with us on our Saskatchewan side here in our central zone with that 21-degree mark, and then we have 22 up in Meadow Lake as they are seeing slightly warmer just by 1 degree there, and then slightly cooler in North Battleford, still just sitting at 18. Now, as you go over to our northern zone, they are kind of matching with us with those temperatures is what we are seeing in our central zone. So they haven't cooled down or warmed up by too much either. Most spots are just seeing around 20 to 21 degrees. So still just seeing past that 20-degree mark. And then we have a couple that are just at 19 with South End and up in Uranium City. And going back over to Alberta side here in our northern zone, they have warmed up slightly from what they had been seeing yesterday. They were slightly cooled down compared. 22 for Peace River and Grand Prairie, while we're looking at 24 up in high levels. They are seeing the warmest condition there. Fort McMurray is just hitting that 20-degree mark, and then we have Slave Lake and Fort Chiffon just a few degrees cooler with 18 and 19. Now going over to our southern zone, they are matched with us more in our central area for sure, but even seeing probably the coolest conditions from what we have been seeing in our central and our northern zone. Here in our southern zone, they have cooled down quite a bit as they are seeing more of those mid-teens in most of these areas. 12 and 13 for Calgary and Banff, follows just 14 up in Coronation as they are right in the middle mark. And then Lethbridge and Medicine Hat are looking slightly warmer as they usually do compared to the rest of these spots with 17 and 19. So none of these spots have quite hit that 20-degree mark just yet. And going over to our Saskatchewan side here, they are still kind of sitting at those slightly warm conditions as they have been kind of seeing throughout this week. Still seeing just at that 20-degree mark or just a couple degrees either over or under. We have 18 and 19 for Swift Current and Moose Jaws. They are seeing slightly cooler, and then we start to warm up from there. 21 for Regina and Yorkton, while it's 20 just now in Kindersley, and Estevan seems to be seeing the warmest condition there with 24. But now let's look at some overnight evening lows for our surrounding areas here for our temperatures. We are going to be seeing some nice temperatures once again for tonight, as most spots are of course going to be seeing those plus temperatures kind of continue on for our evening lows. I should say we shall say goodbye to those minuses for our evening lows now, which is nice to see as we are more into our spring season, heading more into our summer season now. A low of 7 that most of these spots will expect tonight, and Meadow Lake will be expecting a low of that 5-degree mark. And all of these spots here on this list as well are expecting a mostly clear night tonight and just partly cloudy, so it'll be a nice calm evening for most of these areas in our surrounding area and aren't really seeing a high chance of some precipitation. Looking at our hourly forecast for our Thursday here in the border city, we will be starting off quite warm already, almost hitting that 10-degree mark right off in the morning. Then for our mid-afternoon, for our daytime high, we will be reaching 23, 24 degrees. So warming up by a few degrees from what we saw for the past few days this week. So we are expecting a beautiful day tomorrow indeed as we hit our Thursday, because once we hit that with that mixture of some sun and cloud, we start to even warm up from there. 25 Friday as we start off the weekend just in time for Mother's Day as we are seeing some beautiful conditions. 27, 28 for the weekend. Please make sure to get outside. You know, if you have a lake lot, you want to go camping, take advantage, hit Bud Miller Park. You know, make sure to get out there and enjoy it. We are seeing some beautiful days ahead, and we will be seeing those conditions continue on into next week. And that's all I have for now. RJ Smacky will have our news coming up after the break.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us this week. Stephanie is a lawyer and mediator here in Lloydminster at Henke Divorce Law and Mediation, and we're back for another episode of Healthy Thriving Family After Divorce. Stephanie, last week we were talking a little bit about child support and kind of just the basics of it, and this week we're going to get into basically talking about the extras. Can you tell me exactly what the extras are?
Well, when I break down child support, I usually, even when I'm explaining it to clients, I sort of say part one of child support and part two, because the part one is what we did last week. And so just by way of reminder for our viewers, the part one is what I call the basics. So that's base support. Think of necessities like food, clothing, and shelter. And so that we, of course, covered last week. So this week, when we talk about part two, it's the extras. So they're also called Section 7 expenses if people follow the child support guidelines. And these are categories of expenses that are expected to be shared between parents. So there's a number of categories, and I'll list them now. So the first one is childcare. So these are childcare expenses for the primary parent to allow that parent to go to school, to go to work, or for respite. So it's not for, babysitting for a date night, for example. Second one is health insurance premiums that relate to the children. So there might be a cost for the family extended health plan, and then the single extended health plan. So it's the difference between those two amounts that's actually shareable. Then we've got third is health-related expenses. So those are expenses that exceed insurance reimbursement by at least $100 a year. And there's certain specified expenses, orthodontics, counseling, speech therapy, glasses, those types of things. Then we've got post-secondary education expenses. And then there's two categories that are actually preceded by the word extraordinary. Primary and secondary school expenses, and then extracurricular activities.
Stephanie, how are these extras shared? Is it always 50-50?
Well, it actually will depend. Sometimes, yes. So by default, these categories of expenses are expected to be shared on a proportionate basis between parents. So that means that it's by default based on the parents' income levels. So let's use an easy example on our show. So we've got one parent who earns $70,000 a year and the other parent who earns $30,000 a year. The $70,000 a year parent pays 70% and the other parent pays 30% towards those expenses. That's the proportionate sharing, and that's automatic. There are some parents who decide that they're going to deviate from that sharing, but that's if it's by agreement between the parents. So some say, let's actually, instead of 70-30, let's do 50-50, and they're fine with that.
What about things like savings accounts and RESPs? How do you determine how those are split up?
So you may remember in the list of the categories, one of them is post-secondary education expenses. So those are shareable automatically. There's a lot of detail to it, of course, that we can't get into today about what of the post-secondary education expenses are shared. But interestingly, there's no obligation to save for these expenses. So of course, an RESP, registered education savings plan, of course, is the savings component. So parents can decide that they want to set up an education savings plan for their kids, but it's not necessarily something that's required. I do, of course, recommend that families set that up, but the difficult thing can be if one parent is contributing to that RESP, or they're contributing in unequal shares, and then when it comes time to actually share the expenses, it's shared on a different percentage basis. It can be very complicated to do that calculation of who saved what for how long and who contributed what to that big pot. So, my recommendation is, despite the benefits of compound interest, my recommendation is always to save for your own contribution towards the kids' post-secondary education.
Stephanie, these categories are really broad and maybe don't totally apply to every family. So how does each family decide what extras they actually qualify for?
Well, first, of course, we're going to look for the name of the category. So once you're in that category, then there's, of course, a lot of detail beyond which we can get into today. But the shareability really will depend primarily on three things. So first, we're going to look at the necessity of the expense, the reasonableness of the expense, and then we're also going to look at the standard of living pre-separation for the children. So I really encourage families to think through the types of things that impact their kids, as far as what they're going to share, and the more you can anticipate and talk about it ahead of time, as far as, for example, activities. We agree that in all of our activities, we're going to share just registration costs, or we're going to share registration and equipment, or equipment up to X dollars. So if you can kind of get a little bit more detailed about it in advance in writing, then when those expenses come up, there's a lot less conflict that happens.
Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back again next week to find out more about child support.
Thanks, Stacey.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It's great to have you back here. Today, we're talking about the really great event that is coming to the Gold Horse Casino, Creedence Clearwater Remembered. Now, this event, it is going to be celebrating the extraordinary music and legacy of the band that rocked the music scene of the 60s and the 70s. This is going to be so fun with CCR, your guys on stage, giving a tribute to their music. So tell us a bit more about this event and what can people expect?
Yes, stoked to have this show coming to Lloyd at the Gold Horse Casino, June 17th. It's, like you'd said, it's a bit of a musical salute, we call it, a celebration of the music of CCR, and we call it Creedence Clearwater Remembered. And it's with some great rock and rollers out of the Edmonton area, Elliot Niven and his band, and Darren and I from Jaywalker. Not sure if you've heard about that up-and-coming band, Jaywalker. So it's a little bit of Jaywalker, a little bit of a couple of hardcore rock and rollers, and it is fun cranking out those hits. Those songs every one of them are just bangers, and it's just rock and roll, and it's like you sing along, and it's just big, hands in the air, foot stomping, people dancing. It's a good time, and we can't wait to go. It's a fun deal to do it. He sings the absolute daylights out of it, so it's awesome.
That's going to be so, so fun. So what are some of your favorite songs to perform?
Well, there's a list of them, really. When he sings Up Around the Bend, it's so crazy how great he sings it. And we even dip into Rock and Roll Girls too, is rock and roll is really great. And we dip into Fogerty's solo catalog just a little bit, just because, in that center field. So, those are a few of my faves, and I just, they're crazy. And we get into the, much deeper into the catalog, but all the hits are there, and the vibe is good. And there's a bunch of stories that go along too with the CCR show that kind of explain where those guys were at when they were writing those songs, and just, it's an interesting band. They just burn twice as bright for half as long. I mean, Fogerty's still going, and he still sings better than he, as good as he ever did. And it's just like, that's just not the case for so many rock and rollers of that age. So it's fun to do it. And it is we're glad to bring it to Saskatchewan. We're going to be touring it all over the province, and but really thankful to be coming to Lloyd.
Thank you so much for giving us all those details about the Creedence Clearwater Remembered show happening at the Gold Horse Casino. It's happening on June 17th. The doors open at 8, I believe, and the show starts at 9.
It's been a while since I've been to the venue, but looking forward to it, and very kind of them to have us, and we're stoked. We can't wait to come to town. It's going to be great.
We can't wait to have you.
You're going to be there, right?
I sure hope so.
And that's all the time we have on this Wednesday night. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you back here again tomorrow.